What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nasha, welcome back to the channel, and today I have an updated Crystal Beast deck profile for you guys. Don't get twisted with the advanced Crystal Beasts, because I am using the originals. I am using the original Crystal Beasts. With the new support that we got, that we will be getting in the brand new Crystal Beast structure deck, and with the news, and with what was it, Dimension Force, I think as well. There's a card from Dimension Force that actually is insane. It is an insane card, and it can actually work well with the Crystal Beast, but what card could that be? Who knows? Who knows? It could literally be anything. I did do a bit of a switch up with the side deck. The extra deck I kind of did about the same. I kind of mixed it up a little bit. But the main deck is so different from the last build. The last build that I had, I was running the Emancipator Researcher, only because I figured that the card would work well with this deck, and I realized it does nothing. It literally does nothing to the deck, and plus, Verde Anaconda is banned, so unfortunately, Anaconda, no more. Anaconda be no more. So this version is so much more different than the last build, but hopefully you guys are ready for this deck profile. If you guys are, and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all of my social media, including my Instagram, because that is where I post all of the deck lists from these deck profile videos. Links will be in the description below. And if you guys have any fan mail that you guys want to send me, and you guys want me to open it up on the channel, the info will also be in the description as well. Let's get straight into it. Obviously, if you're running Crystal Beasts, you gotta have a singular copy of Elemental Hero Neos. This is basically the one card that you need to summon Rainbow Neos. Not much else to say. Not much else to say about it. It's basically the only purpose for Neos in the main deck is to summon Rainbow Neos off of Neos Fusion, which I am running in the main. Next up, we have 2 copies of Rainbow Dragon. There are 3, now funny enough, there are 3 functions for Rainbow Dragon. Number 1 is obviously the fact that Rainbow Neos. The second is Rainbow Over Dragon, if you are able to summon Rainbow Over Dragon that way. But there's another fusion in here that I've tested out only maybe once or twice during testing, and the card is not too bad. The card isn't actually that... Yeah. Sorry guys, something got caught on my tongue. Anyway, the card is actually pretty busted to say the very least. But not only that, you can also use Rainbow Dragon to special summon him if you have all 7 crystals on your board or in your graveyard, which is pretty old school, but it actually works. But still, you gotta have two copies of Rainbow Dragon. And then of course we have a singular copy of Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. Only 1 copy. I know some people prefer to run 3. I prefer to put this at 1 because oftentimes this card can actually be a brick, and you're gonna have no choice but to discard it off of the effects of like certain cards that you may have in either the main, the extra, or the side, depending on what you run, basically. But still, this card is actually pretty cool because what's cool about this card is its effects. So it has a few effects. The first one reads: If this face-up card is destroyed in a monster zone, you can place you can place it face-up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell instead of sending it to the grave. That's the first effect. The second effect reads: You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. When an attack is declared involving a Crystal Beast monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. The third effect reads, you can banish this card, treat it as a continuous spell, special summon a level 4 or lower Crystal Beast from your deck, but negate its effect, and if you do, add 1 ultimate crystal monster from your deck to your hand. And what's counted as an ultimate crystal monster? Rainbow Dragon. Rainbow Dragon. So you're basically special summoning Sapphire Pegasus to trigger its effect, place a crystal in your back row, and then you're basically adding Rainbow Dragon to your hand. And if you have all 7 crystals on board, you basically have yet another body on board, which is pretty cool. Then I am running 2 copies of a brand new card that is a Jump promo, but the card is absolutely nuts in this deck. It is known as Adularia of the Moonlit Water. And you guys are probably wondering, wait a minute, wait a minute, didn't you talk about this card before? Yes, I did talk about this card before. If you guys have not checked out that video, which I think was like about a couple weeks ago or something like that. I don't remember, honestly. So the effect of this card reads, if a face-up card is in your spell and trap zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon this once per turn this way. Gain 600 attack and defense for each spell and trap on the field. You can send 2 face-up cards from your spell and trap zone to the grave. Send 1 level 4 or lower monster from your deck to the grave. So it basically acts as a Foolish Burial, so to speak. But what's even more cool is that the more crystals you have in your back row, the higher the attack this card will have. So let's say you have 5 cards in your back row. So let's see, that's what 3,000, I believe. Yes, so that plus 1,000, it can basically go up to well over 4,000 attack because it initially has 1,000, which is insane. So 2 copies, and plus not only that, you can also again use the Fool's Burial effect. So if you activate a card like, say, Monster Reborn, and you summon Ruby Carbuncle off of the effect of Moonlit Water, you basically get to take all the crystals that are in your back row, summon them from your back row, and you essentially you can just essentially go into your Link plays, your Xyz plays, and just win for game right there, which is really nice. Then of course we are running the crystals, the Crystal Beasts themselves. Each of them has, as I've said multiple times in the past, each of the Crystal Beasts have their own first effect, but the second effect is the same. So the second effect of each of the crystals read, if this face-up card is destroyed in a monster zone, you can place it face-up in your spell trap zone as a continuous spell instead of sending it to the graveyard. It's basically the same as Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, but the crystals have their own first effect. So obviously we are running three Sapphire Pegasus, which basically lets you take a crystal from your hand or deck or graveyard and place it face up in your back row, which is really nice. Ember Mammoth basically lets you redirect the attack from one Crystal Beast to itself, which is kind of okay, but it all just depends on what your board looks like, which is pretty insane. The 2 Topaz Tiger, basically it gains 400 attack during the damage step only when it attacks. Only when he attacks an opponent's monster. Cobalt Eagle basically just sends your Crystal Beast to the top of your deck if you want to anyway. 2 Amethyst Cat can attack directly, but the damage that they take is cut in half. The 2 Emerald Turtle can basically becomes a block attack, so to speak. So what I mean by that is block attack, which was I think from, what was it, from either Metal Raiders or Magic Ruler, I don't remember which one. But the effect of block attack reads, target one face-up attack position monster your opponent controls, change that target to face-up defense. That's what Emerald Turtle does, basically. And then of course, the one Ruby, only one because obviously you're going to be summoning it multiple times anyway. Basically lets you summon crystals from your back row to your front lines, which is absolutely insane. And again, it basically just helps you go into your link plays and whatnot, all depending on what you have, basically. So that's pretty much it for the monsters. There's no other side packages or anything like that. That's all the monsters. Moving on into the spells, we have 2 copies of Ancient City Rainbow Ruins. Obviously, it has effects based on how many crystals you have in your back row. So if you have at least 1 crystal in your back row, the field spell cannot be destroyed by card effects. If you have at least 2 crystals on board in your back row, the effect reads, once per turn, including the opponent's, you can have the battle damage you take. So it basically just ensures that you don't lose, basically. 3 crystals, you can basically negate the activation of a spell or trap just by sending a crystal beast monster you control to the grave, and you also get to destroy that spell or trap card. If you have at least 4 crystals, you basically get to draw 1 card. So it acts as sort of like a pot of green. One card drawn during the draw phase, and then a second card drawn off of the effects of Rainbow Ruins. And then if you have 5 crystals in your back row, you can target one of the crystals in your back row and summon it. So it sort of acts like a crystal promise of sorts. So what would be the one target you would summon? Ruby Carbuncle, easily. Next up, we have 3 copies of Crystal Bond. This card is insane. This card basically lets you add 1 crystal from your deck to your hand, and then takes another crystal, puts it in your back row. This basically helps with the Ancient City, especially if you want to try and thin out your deck even more by drawing cards. Crystal Bond just basically helps you do that, basically. Next up, we are running a brand new addition, another new addition to the card, to the deck. It is known as Crystal Protection. We are only running a single copy. The reason being is because I needed to make room for 2 copies of a card that was from Dimension Force, which I'll explain here in a little bit once we get into the traps. So this card is going to be released in the Crystal Beast Structure deck, which has already been released in the OCG. I think the TCG will probably get this at the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken. So the effect of Crystal Protection reads, target 1 Crystal Beast you control, destroy it. Then special summon 1 Crystal Beast token with the same original type, attribute, level, and attack and defense. If a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed in your spell or trap zone, and this card is in your grave, even during the damage step, you can banish this card, special summon 1 Crystal Beast from your spell and trap zone. So basically, it's basically another form of Crystal Promise of sorts, which is really nice. Then of course we have 3 copies of Rainbow Bridge. This is basically Spell and Trap Rhoda to add pretty much any crystal spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which could be Crystal Bond, Crystal Abundance, could be literally be anything, which is really nice. Then of course we got the one Neos Fusion to summon out Rainbow Neos, which is obvious, which is the most obvious. 1 Crystal Abundance. This card is basically a way to wipe your opponent's board clean, and then be able to summon up to 5 crystals from your graveyard back onto the field, and one of them has to be Sapphire Pegasus, so you can basically just place another crystal from your grave back onto your back row, and then just summon out Rainbow Dragon right off the bat. You instantly have game on board right there. And then for the rest of the spells, we got the one Monster Reborn, the one call by because you want your plays to go through, and then a single card and single copy of Bridge of the Heart. You guys are wondering what this card does. I talked about this before. The effect reads: during your main phase, you can normal summon one Crystal Beast monster in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During your main phase, you can destroy one Crystal Beast card you control or in your hands, and if you do, add one Crystal Beast spell trap from your deck to your hand. If a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed in your spell trap zone, even during the damage step, you can target a card your opponent controls, return both it and this card to the hand. This, which is pretty nice, which is really cool because not only do you get a second normal summon, you also get to add, you basically get another Rainbow Bridge of sorts, and you can also bounce, and you can also compulse pretty much any card that your opponent may have, and this one card, and bounce them both back to the hand. But you're most likely going to want to target the extract monsters because that way it would take them even longer to re-summon them back onto the board, which is really nice. Now moving on into the traps end. Holy shit, there is a fuck ton of traps. So first up, we have a singular copy of Ultimate Crystal Magic. This card is basically another form of Neo's Fusion to summon out either Rainbow Overdragon or Rainbow Dragon Overdrive, which makes no sense, honestly. But it basically just helps you summon one of those two, which is really nice. We have two copies of Crystal Grace. This is another one of the new additions to the deck that will be in the structure deck. And the effect reads: special summon up to 2 Crystal Beast cards from your spell and trap zone, and if you do, gain life points equal to their original total attack. If a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed in your back row while the card is in your grave, even during the damage step, you can banish this card, activate the top card of your deck, and if it's a Crystal Beast monster, either add it to your hand or special summon it. Otherwise, send it to the graveyard. Obviously, because of the fact that the only non-Crystal Beast cards that are in the deck are Neos and the two Moonlit Waters, you're pretty much almost guaranteed to see your Crystal Beast. That's why I decided to just make this a pure Crystal Beast build, and I might do this with the Advanced Crystal Beast. If you guys want to see me do an Advanced Crystal Beast deck, let me know in the comments. I really want to see if I can do it. But again, it basically just lets you gain life points so you don't lose, and it also lets you special summon a Crystal Beast if you're able to top deck it, which is really nice. Then of course we have 2 copies of Crystal Brilliance. This is yet another new card, another new addition to the deck. This card is a house, and you gotta make sure you gotta make sure that this card remains on board if you want to win games. The effect reads: you can only control 1 Crystal Brilliance. Crystal Beast monsters you control gain attack equal to their original defense. So with Sapphire, basically he becomes a 3300 beat stick on board, if I remember correctly. Actually, it becomes a 3000 beat stick on board for Amber. He becomes a 3300 beat stick on board. Topaz becomes a 2600 beat stick on board. 3000 if it gained during the damage step. Cobalt Eagle becomes a 2200 beat stick on board. Amethyst Cat becomes a 1600 beat stick on board. Emerald Turtle becomes a 2600 beat stick on board. And then of course Ruby becomes only a measly 600 beat stick on board, which is not bad. It's not bad but the second effect is where it really kicks in. If a Crystal Beast card if a Crystal Beast card is placed in your back row even during the damage step, you can send this face-up card from your spell trap zone to the grave, spell summon a Crystal Beast from your hand or grave. So it acts as sort of like a cyber rev system for the deck, which basically again lets you go into cards such as your Axico Talker, your Abyss Duel, depending on what your extra deck looks like, which is really nice. And then of course we have the two Crystal Conclave. I've talked about this before. This card is okay. This card is pretty okay. It's pretty cool. It's an okay card. So what this card does is whenever any of your Crystal Beasts are destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can summon another Crystal Beast from your deck in its place. And then later on, later on in the match, you can send this card face up from your field to your grave, target a Crystal Beast card you control and one card on the field, and bounce them both back to the hand. So it's sort of like a third and fourth Crystal Grace, if you will, which is really nice. And then to round up the Crystal Beast cards, if you will, we have two copies of Crystal Miracle. This is basically your Solemn Judgment for the deck. So the effect reads, so the I can't speak. I cannot speak. Anyway, the effect of Crystal Miracle reads, when a spell or trap or monster effect is activated, destroy one Crystal Beast you control, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do that, destroy that card. It's basically Solemn Judgment. That's all it is. If a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed in your back row while this card is in your grave, even during the damage step, you can banish the card, place one Crystal Beast card, place one Crystal Beast from your hand, deck, or grave, face up in your back row as a continuous spell. Basically, it just helps you. Excuse me. Basically, it just helps you fill your back row for your Ancient City Rainbow Ruins, which is really nice, and also your Crystal Abundance as well. And then, of course, we are running two copies of a card that is actually pretty good in the deck. It is known as Omega Judgment. And you guys are wondering, wait a minute, what? Omega Judgment? What the fuck does this do? This is basically sort of like a two-pronged attack. Yeah, it's basically a two-pronged attack. So if you guys have never seen the card Two-Prong Attack, this was released in Legend of Blue Eyes, the very first set ever made. And the effect reads, select and destroy two of your monsters and one of your opponent's monsters. With Omega Judgment, it is different, because with this one, the effect reads, target one face-up monster card in your spell and trap zone, and two cards your opponent controls, destroy them. It's basically a 2-for-2. So what monsters in your deck get sent to the back row? Crystal Beasts. By destroying one of your crystals, you can pop your opponent's board. You can basically break their board just with this card alone, which is insane. Moving on into the extra deck. I am actually going to go from fusions to links because why the fuck not? So first up, we have the one Rainbow Overdragon. This card is absolutely insane. So the effect reads, must be either fusion summon or special summon by attributing a level 10 ultimate crystal monster. Once per turn, you can banish one Crystal Beast monster from your grave, This card gains attack equal to the banished monsters until the end of the turn. And as a quick effect, you contribute this card. You contribute this fusion summon card, shuffle all cards on the field into the deck. So it basically acts as sort of like a back to square one of sorts, which is pretty cool, but it depends on what your board looks like. Then of course we have Rainbow Dragon Overdrive. This is yet another new addition to the deck. And the effect reads, must be special summoned from your X deck. During a duel, use special summon an ultimate crystal monster. So you would literally have to summon Rainbow Dragon to summon Rainbow Overdragon, which is insane. Which is kind of okay. By banishing the above cards from your field and or graveyard. So, yeah, that's going to be a massive problem. It could be, but you never know. You never know. I was only able to summon this card one time, and I realized it's almost impossible to summon it. But the effect reads, gains 7,000 attack while you have 7 or more banished Crystal Beast monsters with different names. Basically, this card becomes an 11,000 beat stick on board, which, give or take, your opponent is pretty much fucked at that point. If this card did not battle this turn, as a quick effect, you contribute this card, shuffle as many cards on the field as possible into the deck, and if you do, special summon any number of your banished Crystal Beast monsters. So if you do a lot of banishing, this card basically just lets you summon out most of your crystals, and you're pretty much just off to the races there. Next up, we have obviously Rainbow Neos. I've already talked about this card before. It's just a house. It is absolutely insane because there are 3 separate effects that they could choose from once per turn. So you can either send a monster you control to the grave to basically shuffle all monsters your opponent controls into the deck. You can either send one of your spell traps to the grave to shuffle all spells and traps your opponent controls into the deck, or you can send a card from the top of your deck to your grave and shuffle all cards in your opponent's grave into the deck. Do you even want to do that? No, you don't want to. Maybe you do, who the fuck knows. But next up we have a singular copy of Zeus, because obviously I am also running 2 copies of Time Thief Redoer, because Redoer is just a house going off with Zeus. We have the Tornado Dragon as your back row removal. Lightning Shidori as sort of another another really bad back row removal, but you would need to have Sapphire and Cobalt to summon it, which is very possible. It's possible, but the problem is that you're bouncing your opponent's cards back into the top of their deck, which is kind of bad. Especially if it's like a really good card. That's bad. That's pretty bad. So not something you would want to do. But still, it's not too bad. It does move your opponent back a couple turns, which isn't too bad. And then of course we have the Abyss Dweller as sort of like another form of callback, which is really nice. And then for the Link monsters, we have the 1-Axis Code Talker and a very huge Nightmare package. We got the Griffin, the Unicorn, Phoenix, and the Cerberus. Griffin has a really interesting effect, which reads if this card is Link summoned, you can discard 1 card, then target a spell or trap in your grave, set it to your field, but it cannot be activated this turn. Then if this card was co-linked when this effect was activated, you could draw 1 card. You can only use this effect once per turn. Special summon monsters on the field cannot activate their effects unless they are linked. That's pretty good. Unicorn basically lets you not only shuffle a card your opponent controls into the deck, but it also lets you draw 1 card for each Nightmare card that's co-linked to this card. So if you co-linked, let's say Griffin first. So let's say you summoned Griffin first, then you summoned Unicorn, Phoenix, and then Cerberus, which obviously I talked about those before. You basically get to draw 5 cards. Don't mind the back. Don't mind the outside. Somebody's doing gardening. Anyway, that's basically 5 cards. It's basically 5 cards. One card which is your normal draw, and then the 4 additional cards for summoning for having the Nightmare package on board, which is really insane. And then of course 2 Phoenix basically just pops back row, so you got even more back row removal. And then Cerberus basically destroys monsters that the opponent may have that was special summon, which is really cool. Moving on into the side deck, this is my preference. It's kind of like whatever, but for my side deck, I have 2 Ash Blossom, 2 Ghost Ogre, 2 Ghost Spell, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, even more back row removal, 2 Rare Value as sort of like your really bad Pot of Greed, 2 Zing Zang Hu, which basically stops your opponent from using their stat back row. And you're mainly going to be activating this during the end phase, which is really hilarious. And then of course 2 Solemn Strike and 2 Solemn Warning. So, guys, that's gonna do it for this deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hang on, guys. There we go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. If you guys did, and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and follow me on all of my social media, including my Instagram, because I always post the deck lists on my Instagram. Links will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.